They just wrapped up day 10 of Diddy's trial. Capricorn Clark is officially done. She took all day, which was a lot longer than they expected. I remember cross-examination began before lunch break, and that's where it was revealed that she had met with Diddy's team in April of 2024 because she thought she was going to be discussing becoming chief of staff. Well, after listening to the rest of her cross-exam, I think it was incredibly obvious that Diddy's team only met with her because they wanted to get information for this case and had absolutely no intention of actually giving her a job. After lunch, Mark Agnifilo had asked her why she did not get along with Cassie. She said she had first met Cassie when she was with Ryan Leslie and said she went from being a sweet model to a feisty girlfriend. In her own words, she said she got more bravado being his girlfriend the longer it lasted. She said she felt like Cassie was treating her more as a personal assistant than she was treating her as a creative asset. She told the jury she thought I was being paid to help her, and that's when the prosecutor objected. Mark Agnifilo then got messy by asking if she thought Cassie was talented, and she said she had talent and she was beautiful. Pressed further by saying she was not talented, and she said she was not. I have good taste. Talent is Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey. Cassie was more of a studio musician. She needed things equalized. She was asked if Cassie performed live and if she was a hard worker, and she said she performed live a couple of times and she wasn't the greatest. She said at times Cassie was a hard worker, but she preferred being with her boyfriend. She also said when they moved to LA in 2009 after Kim Porter had the twins, that's when she noticed that Cassie had developed more of a relationship with Diddy. Honestly, Diddy's attorneys are trying to play an angle that Cassie's career didn't thrive because Diddy stopped it from thriving, but it had everything to do with her talent and how hard she worked. Capricorn Clark also said that Diddy provided her with all the components to make her a star, whether it be stylist, makeup artist, as well as getting to work with other musicians. She also agreed that Cassie was getting more help than others, and despite what seems like her issues with Cassie, she talked about the things that she had helped Cassie on when she had run into her. He said, I ran into Cassie. She said she had a new deal with Epic, and I dressed her like David Bowie. We did a photo shoot at my house. We wrote a mini movie and shot it for the project. Then we get into the Kid Cudi situation, and as you know, the government is trying to charge Diddy with kidnapping Capricorn Clark, and Diddy's attorney tried to prove that this wasn't kidnapping, and she went with Diddy in order to protect him. Won't get into all the details again because at this point we've heard this story 3 times, but at one point Mark Agnifilo had suggested that she willingly went with Diddy because she was trying to stop him from doing something stupid, to which she pushed back saying, no, I did not want to go. He told me he didn't care what I wanted. He went on to say, well, how did Diddy even get into your building if you had security? And she said security let him in, and he ended up getting fired afterwards. He asked her, did he point the weapon at you? And she said no, but he was waving it around. He also brought up the fact that both Cassie and Kid Cudi never mentioned Diddy having a weapon, and she said, I called them briefly, and I told them really quickly that he had a weapon. She was whispering because she didn't want Diddy to hear her on the phone. Said she also called Lauren London really briefly to let her know where she was in case something bad happened. He then asked how Diddy got into Kid Cudi's house, to which she said she wasn't paying attention. She was just hoping Kid Cudi was not inside, and she was trying to plan her next move. Now remember, in her testimony, she said Diddy fired her 8 months later in August of 2012, and it was hard for her to get work. So Diddy's attorney asked her, what job did you get after you were fired by Diddy? This response is very important because she said, I was hired by Chris Lighty to work for 50 Cent. After this, they go into emails and they pull up one where she said, one day you'll forgive me. Anyway, be well XX. He then pulled another one where she wrote on February 2015, your grace period to be mad at me has surpassed the agreed time, lol. Day after she wrote that and she said yes. It pulled up another one where she had wrote, she, as in Cassie, was never my friend. She wanted me gone, I realized. At this point she was crying and stuttering, saying, sorry, this is complicated for me. I felt that I was Puff's protector. I felt I was the only one gone and she was still there, and things were getting worse. I tried to keep professionalism as the goal. He was asked if it hurt that the only reason why Diddy had brought her back was because Cassie wanted her there, and she said, yes, I have no parents, but my son is autistic, my stakes are higher. He asked her if Cassie had an addiction problem, to which she also said yes. He asked about a movie that she had worked on with Cassie, and it was a short movie called Love, a Loser. They asked her about writing to Diddy wanting his forgiveness, and she said, I wanted my life back, my dream, my competency. And then he asked when she had met with with him as in Diddy's attorney. You wanted to work with him, right? And she said, we discussed it. That's when they say nothing further, and it goes back to the prosecutor, which was really short, and I wanted you to remember the Chris Lighty thing because that was really important in this situation. They asked her what happened with the job with Chris Lighty, to which she said he died the day before I was supposed to start. Then I guess she got another opportunity with Interscope, and she said it wasn't about a job. They told me to leave Puff alone. This, in my opinion, proves April 2024 was never about a job and she was getting played, and any other job opportunities she might have had could mean that Diddy was making sure she wasn't gonna get it. I am not saying he unalived anyone, but I'm just saying every time she had a job opportunity, something else was happening, and tried to tell the jury that she was blacklisted, but his attorney objected and the judge sustained. Lastly, she was asked, why did you return to work for Mr. Combs? She said, so people could see I wasn't disposable. At this level of business, he held all the power. He was asked, why did you meet them? And she said, to get my life back. Lastly, she was asked during the kidnapping, was he holding a pew-pew? To which she said, yes. It is to remind the jury that she did not go with her own free will. She had no choice. It was a kidnapping. Capricorn Clark is officially done, and tomorrow they plan on bringing 4 witnesses: an LA Police Department officer, an LA Fire Department investigator, Deontay Nash, and a woman called Mia who we've heard about previously in Cassie's testimony.